And we're back. Howdy y'all, this is Ethan Bonreal, back at it again, giving you that gay shit you love while playing some more Earthbound. Last time we were here, we made our way to the tropical paradise of Summers and did some exploration. On top of that, I talked about the single gay father that I met the other day, and I realized towards the end of the video that a guy I'm into probably is not that mutually into me, and that's okay, because that's just how life works sometimes. This time around, we actually need to do a little bit of backtracking. We have some items we need to pick up for Jeff before we continue on our adventure, and on top of that, we need to get our inventory under control. Finally, we're gonna probably meet our next new character, but it depends on how long it takes me to get through this stuff I need to do. So, let's go ahead and get to it. So our first order of business is we actually need to have Paula slurp up this vitality capsule because it's been sitting in our inventory for a bit. What this is going to do is going to increase her HP the next time she levels up, because she is squishy as just all outdoors and she gets murdered very easily, so we want to prevent that. Also, we might as well heal her while we are out here. There we go, and her HP's maxed out. So our next order of business is we need to teleport back to Fourside, sadly. Because, oh shit, whoops, I got a little bit overzealous there, so we're gonna back up and try that one more again. So let's do it. But anyway, how y'all been doing? I've been doing just fine. Yesterday I just went to work for about 6 hours and nothing really notable happened, although I actually did have like an extremely handsome customer at my job who I've seen a few times before. And he almost looks like he's a male fertility god, because he is just like bubbling with testosterone. He is real rugged, he has broad-ass shoulders, and he's just a southern gentleman too. I think he is actually a literal cowboy, because my job is kind of near a rural area, and there's several rural towns that actually kind of feed into the road that my job is on, and they often come into town to get stuff from my job from a good while away, like an hour or so away. And I think he was a literal cowboy, and he was just very polite too, which I really liked. And I basically left our conversation halfway to pregnant, TBH, because I was just all about him, but, you know, I think part of his appeal that he was really nice, which was cool to think about, because that's kind of rare. A lot of times when I talk to older men, I think this dude who I'm talking about was probably in his late 30s or 40s, they tend to either try to joke with me about girls, which is annoying, because I don't want to talk about my sisters like they want to. And on top of that, they also seem to really be fascinated in coaching me on masculinity. Like, if I shake their hand, they'll be like, that's a wimpy ass handshake, why the fuck are you doing that? And I'll be like, well, because I'm a very gentle man, and I don't need to be trying to basically crush people with my hand to show how big my dick is. Like, that's just really ridiculous. But, so it was nice basically to interact with someone who was not doing that. And I mean that very much so for real, because it really was a pleasant surprise. A lot of the people that actually come to my job are World War II vets. I work with a lot of very old people. And I'm also having trouble with this dialogue screen because I'm a little bit impatient. So we need to sell... I'm gonna get rid of this bomb, because we're probably never gonna use it. We should use it in battle, but honestly, it doesn't do that much damage. It's actually usually better with Nest to just bash. And the last thing we're gonna do to get ready for the actual plot progression is visit a phone, because we need to drop off some things. So let's talk to this dude. But yeah, I work with a lot of World War II veterans, which is pretty wild. The customers who come to my job are usually pretty old. I think my oldest customer said he was like 94 or 5, I think. I don't remember exactly. But he just really had a lot to say about the planet, which was nice. Incidentally, that day, I was helping him, and he can't hear well, of course, and there was a customer behind him who had, like, he was a younger guy, and he basically zoomed and cut in front of... it's hard to explain. So, like many places, the registers are, like, in rows, and this dude basically essentially cut in front of this older man because he was walking slow. But at my job, we're supposed to prioritize serving disabled people so that they can be rung up quickly, and so I just did that because the older guy actually... Oh my god, what did I just do? I'm embarrassed. The older guy actually was in the line physically first, he just didn't make it to the register, so... I started ringing up the old guy, and the younger dude just started cussing me out. Like, he got, like, behind the older guy and just started screaming at me and was like, I need to learn some fucking manners, and the older guy just had no idea what was going on because he couldn't hear, and so he was just smiling with me and making pleasant small talk, while this dude was just cussing him out behind him, and he just had no idea that it was happening because he couldn't hear, which was very funny, and I was just like, okay, whatever, this is just life. Gonna have to get into it. But, okay, so what I need to get rid of is actually the pencil eraser. We don't need this anymore. And then we're also going to get rid of the contact lenses. We could have dropped these off in, I believe, actually this city, but I'm not going to do it because the reward for it is not that great. And also we're going to get rid of the Hungry HP Sucker. The items that Jeff repairs cannot normally be sold, so you need to actually deposit them with the S-Cargo Express, or just drop them if you get a chance to. But I would prefer just to store it, because we might have a use for that eventually. Anyway, what else do we need to do? You know, we probably are good to go. I'm looking through our inventory here, and everyone's looking pretty healthy here. You know what, we're gonna make sure Paula doesn't have an item upgrade that we can buy while we're here, because she has been out of the party for a while, so we'll double check that, and then we will go to Summers again. Other than that, there's not much else going on. You know, it's actually kind of hot in my room, which is a relief, because it's been getting pretty cold, which I'm not about. I really don't like it when it's below 60 degrees. And not to be... So I've actually said this in a previous video. Basically, when it's hot, or like when it's summertime, it reminds me of guys I've had crushes on, or just guys I've kind of been with. And that's what I'm kind of thinking of now, because... you know, maybe I should just tell y'all a story? I could do that, right? Y'all seem to enjoy those. Probably there are no upgrades here. Probably like 4 or maybe 5 years ago I met up with this guy. And I was actually the first guy he hooked up with. He had posted an ad on Craigslist, and I was like, okay. Normally, when I'm on Craigslist, I'm just like basically XDing at the ads because a lot of them are very funny and just pretty wild, but one caught my eye because it actually had like coherent words in it. Really, and I was like, okay, what's this person about? And he was like, you know, I'm looking to hook up with someone, and he was looking for someone my age, and I emailed him, and it just worked out. And he basically was like, you know, I was dating this guy, and we broke up, and that was really like the first and only gay person I ever really interacted with. And so, yeah, I haven't really done anything else with anyone before, so you're gonna be my first like hookup, and I thought that was pretty neat. So I actually, before we had sex up the butt, I took him to get some food, and we just had a nice conversation, because I remember, personally for myself, when I had my first hookup in college, it was not particularly romantic, and it wasn't particularly super pleasant. It was just kind of like getting down to the dirty and the nitty-gritty, and I wasn't really, you know, I think when you first hook up, when you're younger, you have kind of big expectations, or you're like hoping for a lot, basically. I think a lot of us are really hoping to meet like the love of our life, basically, just because that makes it easier than having to constantly look for people. And I mean, that doesn't really usually happen, although I've learned that that's actually not too uncommon for people to actually date the first person they ever hook up with, because it's a small gay world and it's hard to find other people. But here, so we need to make a call to the Stoic Club real quick to make a reservation so that we can actually get in. And I'm gonna check Paula's level, because I might try to level her up before we head in there real quick. Let's see. Oh yeah, she is really close to leveling up, so we're gonna get into like 1 or 2 fights and get her leveled up before we move on, because we actually have a pretty big plot thing that's about to happen. Oh hey, a photo op, let's do it! Pictures taken instantaneously! I'm a photographic genius if I do say so myself. Okay, get ready for an instant memory. Look at the camera. Ready, say, Fuzzy Pickles. Snap. Oh, what a great photograph. It'll always bring back the fondest of memories. So I'm gonna look at the camera with these characters, and I'm gonna tell y'all flat out, I forgot what the fuck I was just talking about. So we're gonna walk in. Oh, I was about to level up Paula. That's what we're gonna do. But before that, what was I talking about? Something gay. Some boy is cute. Oh yeah, I've learned that it's not too uncommon for a lot of guys to actually meet their first boyfriend through their first hookup, and they just stay together forever. I've told this story on Tumblr, but I met up with a businessman from Colombia who was in his late 40s, and he basically had been in a relationship with the same dude since he was 16 in Colombia, and they had basically been together almost his entire life, because they had just broken up before he met up with me not too long ago. And so, let's see, that's 16 to like late 40s, so they had been together for like 30 fucking years, and they were the first other gay person they had met. And he was basically like, I don't know how to date or do anything now, because I haven't had to do that. I just hit the jackpot, basically, and he felt a little bit awkward, and I was like, okay, I can help out with that. And so we had sex and a good conversation, and that was pretty cool. But that dynamic is, I think that it's good and bad, or really it's neither. It just is. It's just kind of how things work out for us, because it's hard to meet guys when you're gay, and if you find someone that you have a connection with, it's easy just to kind of latch on to them and stay together, basically, because it's just really hard to find guys to date. But that dynamic actually has made me hate a lot of my friends' boyfriends. I actually have almost hated every person my friends have dated, actually, because they have just been, like, really, in my opinion, my friends can always do better, and I think that they're always meeting up with these guys because, basically, they feel like they can't date someone who is better for them or who treats them better. Because my friends have just dated some real shitty guys, and I'm not about that. But I'm going to put this on pause for a second while we advance the plot, because I really have not done that much in this video. So, this is the Stoic Club, and I'm going to reread this dialogue. The show? It's already started. Everyone stares at the stone on the stage and philosophizes. Doesn't it sound stupid? So this is basically like a hipster get-together. So these kids... Oops, shit, I accidentally walked out. These kids walk up in this building, they stare at that rock, and then they just all talk about how smart they are, and have a jolly good time creating discourse and shitposting, basically, which is cute, I guess. So what do you gotta say? You know, I really want to eat some magic cake. It's a mystery, or it's a mysterious work of art. I can't get that cake off of my mind. There's only one woman who can make magic cake. She's hanging out in this club. Yeah, she's over there at the entrance. Anyway, the absolute irony in the study of self-identification is blah blah blah. I don't know what to do. So everyone here is going to say something fairly nonsensical just because they're trying to show off how smart they are, so let's talk to you. You guys can't envision the final collapse of capitalism? How pathetic, XD. I think it's a very complicated issue. ... Oh, sorry, I was sleeping. That's actually really funny, because I've seen people like that. Like, I've had at least 2 or 3 people in social science classes who, like, when they don't know what to say, like, they'll basically be in class and they'll be like, okay, I'm bored, but I want to say something. So they'll just raise their hand and they'll have no idea what the fuck they want to say, but they'll be like, I think it's a very complicated issue. And I've realized that's actually a cue for someone basically shitposting and trying to stall to think of something clever to say. But she just exemplified that, so I guess there's one more person to talk to. Didactically speaking, seminal evidence seems to explicate the fact that your repudiation of entropy supports my theory of space-time synthesis. Of this, I am irrefutably confident. He's actually one of the only people in here who actually makes a little bit of sense. He's basically saying that morally speaking, us being here actually disproves entropy, because here we are in front of him and space is not being destroyed. But what do you have to say? I finally awakened to the inner me, the true self. The patrons of this club are able to stare into their soul hard enough to burn a hole into their psyche. I'm now comfortable enough to stare at the real me, the true self, and burn the impression in my superego. I want to be in this comfort zone at any time, all the time, or at no time. My eye is telling me. Oh, wait, what? What now? You say, what now, boy? Magic cake. Oh, you came here all the way just to eat my cake? Oh, I see, okay. Well, why don't you stop by the little cart out on the beach later? I can definitely do that, ma'am. So, we are going to do one more thing before we do this. We're actually going to take a nap at the hotel real quick, because I want to be healed up. And I guess I can wrap up the conversation I was having. I've hated all my fucking friends' boyfriends. They tend to date really shitty dudes out of convenience, and that tilts the shit out of me, because I know they can do better, but I also recognize why they do it. It is really hard to meet people. And, you might be saying I am a hypocrite, because in one of my previous videos, I said, gays actually tend to be extremely picky, and they will not... Let me go back and re-explain that. So I said sometimes there are gays who be extremely picky. They have this perfect idea of a guy in their mind, and they will not settle for anything else. And I said the reason they do that is probably because they think that being with the perfect guy will make them feel better about themselves. But what I'm saying now is that in my personal experience, my friends actually do the opposite. They settle for really shitty guys because... Actually, a similar reason. They think that being with someone, even if they're shitty, will solve all their problems and make them feel better about themselves. Or alternatively, they feel the pathological need to take care of other people. And I'm not saying that one is more true than the other. I'm saying these are both 2 ways that people deal with not feeling that great about themselves. Because I think a lot of us think that love will save us, and love will basically solve all of our existential dread. But that's not necessarily true, and that's sad. Because what I recognize, too, at the same time, is when you settle for people, you slowly start to resent them, because you realize they're never going to really be what's going to make you feel good, and they're never really going to provide what you emotionally need. Because you're settling, they're just not the right person for you, but... In any case, let's go ahead and move forward. I don't know who told you. You came here from just... Oh shit, you came from far off just to eat my magic cake? I thought making cakes would be the best career for me. Dig in. I used all leftover materials. This is a very special magic cake. And we are fucked up. So, Earthbound had a reputation for being like a really trippy ass game, and this is part of the idea. Basically, we're going on what people are reading as a drug trip, but I think what the implication is that we are actually psychically linking our minds with this other person who is going to be our fourth party member. Because that is what they can do. But that's kind of fanon. Neither one is really confirmed, but whatever was in that cake, it was a little bit funky. You know what I'm saying? So, we are in Dalam in the Far East. I actually like the music for Dalam a lot too, especially because it got some kick and bass in it, which I appreciate. Oh, you know what? I forgot to turn up the sound on this, goddammit. Oh well, that's fine. Prince Pooh, the time has now come for you to undertake your final trial. Go to the place of emptiness and endure this final test. I am praying for your success in this final stage of your training. There we go. Okay, so now we just are randomly playing as this fourth character, and he is soloing it up. Pooh is pretty neat because, for one, he is older than the other characters. I think Ness, Paula, and Jeff are supposed to be like 12 to 13, and Pooh is either 14 or 15. I know he's a little bit older than them, so he's a little bit more mature. And on top of that, he also is the most well-rounded character. He learns offensive psychic powers and healing psychic powers, on top of being fully capable of beating the crap out of things with his bare hands, which is pretty cool. So, let's see. But, like I said, Earthbound had a reputation for being a very trippy game just because of the surreal enemies and stuff, and then the magic cake scene that we just saw. And I actually had a girl who I went to high school with who was extremely needy and also just loved drugs. Like, good lord, she was always high. Not just like on weed, she did hard drugs too. She loved to do ecstasy. She loved meth too, which kind of made me sad. Or it retroactively makes me sad, because you shouldn't do meth. If you can help it, because, like, when you're that young, it just really ravages your body very aggressively, but she loved drugs, and she loved Earthbound, because she was like, this game reminds me of drugs. I just love it. It's so trippy, and I love to play it while I'm high. But eventually I purposely stopped being friends with her, because she is made of drama. Also, she is really fucking racist, too. But I just have a big heart, and I pathologically feel the need to try to take care of other people, honestly. So I'm gonna read this dialogue. Prince Pooh, blush. You're such a hunk. Pooh is actually very popular with the girls in Dalam. He is basically like a rock star here. There we go. Oh, and you know what? A really neat part about Pooh that they have in the game is that he is not used to Western foods because he's lived here all his life. And so he actually heals less from eating Western foods like hamburgers. But if you feed him rice or foods that are native to Dalam, he will heal double the amount. And on top of that, he can recover his PP naturally just from drinking water, which is really cool. That's a neat way to give this character a little bit of identity. Oh, we already went in this house, didn't we? Oh, okay, I meant to go to the house next to the shop house. I think it was this one, right? Yeah? Yeah, there we go. But I think that's honestly kind of related to what I was just talking about. I think part of the reason why I feel the need to take care of people is because it's a way to kind of, in air quotes, trick people into liking me a little bit. But it's also, it's a lot of things, you know. I had a very unpleasant childhood and adolescence, and I don't want to see people suffering, and at the same time, I think that I know that when I was younger, I subconsciously learned that I learned to believe that my value was basically coming from my ability to bring pleasure to other people. And so I thought I needed to take care of people and be there for them all the time in order to make them like me. But now I'm just an evil faggot, and I don't necessarily do that as much, but I still have that in me, but I'm a good bit more discriminate with how I behave with that. I don't just take care of people because they were nice to me once. I pick and choose based off of my own assessments and my own choices, because I've grown up a bit. But anyway, you have nice eyes. You must be Prince Pooh. Long ago I completed Moo training. I want to show you a higher level of intelligence. However, I'm still realizing and learning this high level. I'll see you again, so long! Alright, so we are actually going to cut the video here because we have a scene coming up that's going to take a while. So we're going to leave off with Pooh here. I want to thank y'all for watching this episode. Have a good one, and goodbye!